Hi everyone, we are live. I'm here at the Hive and I've got some amazing women here with me today. Lacey Cruz, of course, always runs our monthly policy talks, and this week she invited some awesome women who are running for office to join us today. So we've got Sarah Lopez, and she's running for County Commission in District 2. And we've got Kelly Reed, and she's running for the Office of County Clerk. And we've got Charity Kennedy, who is running for the Sedgwick County Treasurer. I'm going to let Lacey facilitate this meeting, and so I'll let you have it.
Thank you, Andrea. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you to the Hive. I am so excited that this space is available for women to come and have a networking, co-working space. I have met a lot of people through this, especially Charity. I mean, she's one that I met through this. So first and foremost, I'm just excited that this is a platform that we can talk about things for people, like a real world way to hear about this. That's exactly why I started Policy Talks, because, you know, this year is 100 years of the women's right to vote. And we can get into the nitty gritty, but that was white women's right to vote. I always want to point that out because it wasn't all women's right to vote, but nonetheless, it was one woman's type to vote. So, but in 100 years, we are still only 22% of the elected officials, and that's at the federal level. So at the local level, it's even less than that. And what makes me so excited about this group today is these are all local candidates that you can meet face to face with your mask on, and be able to answer and talk about real world questions that are going to impact your daily lives, because we know everything happens at the local level. So thank you all for coming today. I just want to briefly, this isn't about me, so I will shut up. And I hope to let you guys just introduce yourself. So the first question is, who are you and why did you decide to run? And so since Sarah's first on my screen, then Kelly, then Charity, that's how we'll go. So Sarah, you have about 1 to 2 to 3 minutes. Go. Who are you and why did you run?
Absolutely. My name is Sarah Lopez. I am running for the County Commission seat in District 2, and that's currently held by Michael O'Donnell. You know, and I'm not your normal politician. I don't look like your politician. I don't have the background of the normal politician. I think of myself first and foremost as a mother. I'm a single mom. I have 3 kids, elementary, middle, and high school. So that's, you know, my base there. But my background is in healthcare technology. I've been with Ascension via Christie for 15 years. I started on the clinical side, so I did that for about 5 years. And then it just wasn't my calling. I didn't have the heart to do it. I was just overwhelmed by some of the things I was seeing. So I transitioned, and I've been in IT now for the past 10 years. My healthcare background, I think, is going to really come in handy this year, especially with, you know, this pandemic that's happening that we're not ready for. And, you know, unfortunately, our county commission also serves as our board of health. And I think it would have been all right if our commission as a whole would be following the guidelines and the recommendations that our medical professionals are putting out. Unfortunately, we've seen, you know, that's just not the case. And so I think it's really important that we need to get someone on the board that has healthcare background. I would also really like to see moving forward our board of health actually being made up by medical professionals and getting people from different specialties on there who could really do a better job and have a better understanding of everything healthcare, right, than what elected officials have. So that's a big one for me. But also working in healthcare, you know, I see a lot of things that could really use improvement in the county. And my big thing that I really want to focus on is mental health care. I think we need to do our best to end the stigma around mental health care. I'm extremely open with the fact that I go to therapy. I was going every other week, and then the primary's over and kind of the heat's raising, you know, so now I'm going every week. I actually have an appointment this afternoon, and I always look forward to those. So I think that's just important to be able to have those conversations and bring that out. And I think when we think about mental health care, one aspect we really need to focus on as well is substance abuse. I think at this point, most everybody knows someone who's affected or who struggles with addiction. And I have a very close family member who does. And, it doesn't just affect their life, it really does tear families apart, and we need to do better by our community and help people out. So those are a couple of things that are really important to me and things that I'm looking forward to working on. I know, Lacey, you have a lot of those similar issues, and I think the two of us together could hopefully really move that needle. I'm excited that there's so many women running for office. When I went to vote, I voted for all women, besides James Thompson, of course, but beyond that, I voted for all women. I've never done that before. So that was a huge moment, and I was just so excited to be able to do that. And I look forward to working with all of you ladies on, in the county next year. And if you have any questions for me, or if you want any more information, my website is sarahforsedgwick.com, or you can go to my Facebook page. You can shoot me a message. You can email me, whatever you want. My Facebook is just Sarah Lopez. And, I'm excited to work with you ladies.
Awesome. That's great, Sarah. I know that especially now with this pandemic, we have a lot of people staying at home. We have a lot of people that are hitting the bottle a little bit harder than they would before. And mental health and substance misuse is a real challenge in our community. So I'm excited that that's a focus of yours, because it's definitely a focus of mine. Okay, now on to Miss Kelly Reed for County Clerk. Who are you and why did you decide to run?
Thank you, Lacey. Thank you, Andrea, for having us here today. Really appreciate it. It's a wonderful forum to have the place to just come and talk. So my name's Kelly Reed, and I am running for County Clerk. The County Clerk essentially serves as the Secretary of the Board of County Commissioners. So really looking forward to the opportunity to work with all of our county commissioners and really bridge that gap between the public and the county. And the decisions that they make in particular. I'm married. I have a 27-year-old daughter who works at Apple. She lives in California. Unfortunately, I haven't seen her in almost a year. We live with my mother and two sisters here in Wichita. I'm a 3-time boomerang back to Wichita. So Kansas is home to me, which I call Wichita hometown, but Kansas roots, Kansas born. I feel like I represent the talent leak that Kansas is facing. Left here after attending college, was really looking for a place that was more diverse and more representative of who I was, and just found myself in Arizona for a time and then spent about 16 years in California. I really wanted to come home and give back. So when I moved back 3 years ago to be close to mom and the rest of my family here, I decided that I really wanted to do something that was going to make a difference in my community. So I went about looking for different types of positions and jobs. And along the way, someone encouraged me to run for office. Someone did. And I really took that to heart, because I'd never thought about doing anything like this. And the decision to do it was a really difficult one. It took about 9 months to wrap my arms and my mind around the idea of being a public official. The political divide and the divisiveness of politics and just the ugly side of politics really kept me away from getting engaged, participating, and being involved. I mean, I think it really keeps people and voters away from the polls too. You see smear campaigns and you see all of these just really nasty tactics and things that people say to one another. And so one of my goals is to help rebuild trust, the public trust in our public officials and in government overall. And so I was proud to sign the Fair Campaign Practices statement that the Kansas Ethics Commission sent out. And it's optional, which was very surprising to me, that this is an optional thing that people can decide whether or not to run a fair campaign. And so I have a background in student government, and my student government leaders would have never gone for that. We all had to be, they all had to be ethical in their approach and in their practices. And if someone was caught stealing signs or stealing literature or defacing things, they were removed from the campaign, and they weren't allowed to run. So that's where I come from, and kind of the ethics that I'm bringing with me. As I said, I'm not a politician, never saw myself as one, but I had to really look for some inspiration early on. So I looked at a couple of sites. She Should Run was one of them. And I had been involved in an organization called Elect Her. And I watched a video one day that organization helps college students and women in particular develop an interest in running for public office. So I was someone that was mentoring students to do this work and advising students on how to become the next leader and public servant. But I never saw myself as someone that would do that. So this video said, you know, people are asking themselves all the time, who am I to run for public office? Who do I think I am to have the skills, experience, and talents that could serve a community of people? And then I had to really ask myself, and this video kind of helped me get there, was who are you not to? And so I just felt like, okay, this is maybe something that I can do. So that's a little bit about me. I ran for office because I really wanted to give people a choice on the ballot. I'm running against someone who's been heavily entrenched in politics for a number of years and has been running unopposed for 12 years in the county clerk's office. And I feel like we really need to have all positions have opposition, because people need a choice. And so that's kind of a primary driver for me. And I will pause there because I'm sure there's lots more to talk about. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you for that. You know, I think that a couple of points that you talked about, you know, women, I've been having this conversation with a lot of women, and when I ask them, have you ever thought about running for office? The first is like, me? What? You know, so I think that we all have this preconceived notion about who can sit in these seats. You have to have a law degree, you have to have a lot of money, you have to have a lot of connections. And, you know, quite frankly, that's just not the truth. And the more women who are suggested to run, you know, what do we wait till we're 100% ready for everything, right? And then we even think we're not ready, you know, and we have got to stop thinking that. And so hopefully that with this panel, and we will inspire people to want to get involved. So next up, Miss Charity Kennedy with her great little background. Who are you and why did you decide to run?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Charity Kennedy, and I have been a member of the Hive since early 2018. I think about a month after it was opened. I love the Hive, so you may have seen me at some of the events. I'm one of the facilitators of the monthly Hive Mind, and the Hive is where I feel like I really found my tribe in 2018, and I cherish my membership there. I am a process improvement engineer at Spirit Aerosystems by day. That's what I do full time. And by evening, I'm just involved in the community in various ways, including the Hive, the Society of Women Engineers, that's the shirt that I have on, and several other ways like Big Brothers, Big Sisters. I am running for Sedgwick County Treasurer, and the Sedgwick County Treasurer is essentially the county tax collector. The office collects property taxes, both vehicle, real estate, personal property, and acts like a bank, and then disseminates that money according to the budget that is set by the county commission. There are about 92 people that work in the county treasurer's office, and 80% of those folks work in the vehicle tag office. The vehicle tag office is an area that I really want to focus on when I become the Sedgwick County Treasurer, because I think there's a lot of opportunity for improvement there. One of the main things that I want to do is reduce the amount of times that people are required to go to the vehicle tag office. For example, you have to go to the vehicle tag office if your address changed from the last time that you renewed your registration. You can't do it online or via mail if you moved. I think we should be able to validate our addresses via the mail or an online form or some type of a scanned in document. We shouldn't have to go to the vehicle tag office, particularly in this era of COVID where we're trying to limit the contact that we have with people. I think that this is the perfect time to look at all of the things that require people to go into the vehicle tag office and see how can we apply technology and do those things differently. There's a lot of opportunity there for basic technology that's been developed in the last couple decades that hasn't yet been applied. I also think that there's a lot of opportunity for better communication. The treasurer's office is one of the main avenues and touch points that citizens interact with the county government. And I think that we can do a lot better job in our interactions and how we communicate and how we explain things to people and the transparency that we show. So those are a few reasons why I'm running. I basically fix processes out at Spirit Aerosystems, and I want to go do that for the county because I see a lot of opportunity there for improvement. I, like the other ladies, am not a politician. Obviously, my background is in engineering and education, and I am doing this because I want to serve my community. And I think that we need more women in elected positions, particularly in local government.
And thank you, Charity, for that. You know, one thing that I'm really excited, particularly about your race, Charity, is that, you know, I reached out before this conversation today to Brandy Bailey, who is Charity's opponent in this race. And I think that one thing we can do, particularly as a woman going against a woman, is show how to run a campaign. Show how to run against an opponent and focus on your strengths rather than tearing someone else down. And, you know, I think that that's really exciting. And I asked her if she would be willing to come on with you later and just have a conversation, because, you know, I think one thing as women running for office, and I want you guys to think about what's the hardest part of this right now. So think about that, because I'm going to ask you that question, is, you know, the dirt that people could bring up, or the things in your past, or, you know, I mean, quite frankly, recently I've had a couple of pretty choice emails sent to me, and my name has been kind of mud slinging all over the place. So it's hard. It's very, very hard. And as women, we have a lot of responsibilities that fall on our shoulders, right? Taking care of children, taking care of parents, a lot of different things that we just kind of naturally do. There's a lot of men that do those things too. So I don't want to say that it's just all women doing those things, but we have a lot of responsibilities that we take on, and running for office and managing a career. A lot of you are in the private sector. You're still trying to, it's about this balance, which I don't really think exists. I think we're just kind of all trying to do our best, right? But I'd really like for you guys to speak on what's the hardest part of this and how are you overcoming that in your day-to-day life. And we're going to start with you, Charity, because you were last, and then we'll go to Kelly, and then we'll go to Sarah. What's the hardest part of this for you, Charity?
Certainly the trepidation about running is the whole political game, and wondering if you have thick enough skin to survive if there are any types of disparaging comments, untruths told about you, because not everything that is published in political campaigns is true. We've learned that. So certainly that was disparaging. I think the hardest part for me is asking for folks to donate their time and their treasure and their talent to my campaign, because we like to try to do all the things ourselves and be very independent and autonomous, and you cannot get elected on your own. You absolutely have to have a team of people, and fundraising is extremely important because it's all about voter reach. The whole purpose of fundraising for a campaign is getting your name out there and reaching voters, and for them knowing who you are so they can make an educated decision on election day. So that asking for help has been the biggest challenge for me. That's a pretty new thing for a farm girl from Southwest Kansas that was raised to be able to do everything on her own, including change the oil in her car and, you know, her tire alongside the road or whatever it took. That's been a challenge.
Amen to that. I think that I am the exact same way. I don't like to ask for help. I mean, it's like almost sometimes physically painful to do it. Okay, Kelly, what's the hardest part of this for you?
Thanks. I definitely will echo the sentiment about fundraising. I was having a conversation with a voter I met in Valley Center who really touched my heart over the weekend. And I said, you know, my parents raised me, my mom really raised me to go out and get what you want and to work hard and to have a work ethic, a strong work ethic. And that's across the board, all of my family. I've got family working in all different kinds of sectors, physical labor, retail. You know, we're humble and we don't ask for much. And so having to go out and ask people to give me money for my campaign has been extremely difficult. And so someone told me, think of it like an invitation that you're providing to someone to take part in a journey that's really important and special, not just for me personally, but for everyone here who's voting on the ballot in November. Ask them to take part and invite them to come along with you instead of asking them to give money. And so one way they can take part is by donating. Yeah, real difficult. I accepted a $100 donation from someone over the weekend, and it was the most touching donation I've ever received. And I'm in the process of writing a blog about it because it was just so moving. I encourage everyone watching to take a look at that when it goes live later today. But I'd also echo that one of the most challenging things is wondering if you've got thick enough skin, as Charity mentioned. Can I handle the the nastiness of politics? And as I said earlier, that's why it took me 9 months to decide, because it's not just about me, it's about my family as well. It's what's going to happen to them, how are they going to experience being in the public eye, and it while I might agree to put myself out there in the lion's den or the line of fire or whatever you want to call it, I mean, I almost wake up every day expecting the worst. I expect that someone is going to attack me, and it's a horrible feeling. And I think that's probably, and you see it everywhere. And Lacey, you're just a prime example. You just have these constant attacks every day, and people are so critical. It is so easy to sit on the sidelines behind your keyboard, and not face someone to tell them, what your criticisms are and why they should consider it. It's really difficult to just take the type of criticism that's being flown around and being spread. So that to me is definitely the hardest thing, and something I'm not looking forward to, and I dread. Almost like every day I'm like, oh, something bad gonna happen. People get criticized for everything, what they wear, how they say things. I mean, I know you don't see all the comments, Lacey, on these commission meetings, but us ladies here, we're watching them. We're watching every single comment that comes through, and it is ugly.
Yeah. And, I would just say, don't read the comments.
Yeah, I know.
Comments, don't subject yourself to those kinds of things, because listen, I've read them before. And it only made me feel like shit. I mean, just to be frank, it really made me feel bad. And, I've been talking about focusing on things you can control. Focus on those little things that are going to move the ball forward each day. And, we're all human. I get sucked into it too. But it's hard. It is hard. So, but thank you for sharing with that. And I love that you guys are being so real about this, because we don't have to sugarcoat things. So Sarah, what is the hardest part for you? I'd love to hear it.
Well, first, I apologize. My laptop decided to freeze, so I had to get on join from my cell phone. So it's not quite as good. I might be shaking
Whatever,
a little.
you just wanted 2 screens at one time. Come
That's
on.
exactly what I was going for. I would say the criticism is very real. That's something that I think most women just have to deal with generally, from how we parent to if we work, if we don't work, if we breastfeed, if we formula. I mean, it's just, you're too thin, you're too thick. There's always something that women are being criticized for anyway. So running for office is definitely kind of just exacerbates that. But my biggest thing that I'm trying to work through is how I balance my career and my children, and then running for office. My kids and I have done a lot of talking about, just because I'm not around for this doesn't mean that I don't want to be. And before I was doing this, I mean, I was at everything. My daughter plays soccer. I mean, we were in Kansas City every weekend for a team that she played for there. I was coaching her soccer team. And to go from that to, having to find rides for her to practices some nights because I have meetings I have to be on, it's a struggle. And I think that she feels that. And so just making sure that my kids are still good, that they're not hurting, or that we're being really open when we're speaking about things. I know I talk about counseling a lot, but we are starting family counseling just to make sure that, like, as a unit, we are still strong through this. And then I worry with school starting again that, that a rumor could go around about their mom and then they hear about it and that, being upsetting to them. So there are real worries that I have about my children mainly. I think I have pretty thick skin. So I mean, it's not going to be fun when I have things said about me, but I think I worry more for my children and how they'll handle it than anything else.
Yeah, I was sitting at a restaurant with my daughter and I went to the bathroom and I came back and she was like, "Mom, they're talking about you." And I was like, "Oh, that sucks." And we just both lost our appetites and we left because, it is real. We have to talk about this with our children because, like it or not, they really are in the thick of it too. But I love that they're being exposed to this kind of thing. I love that we are showing them the strength that we have, that we can overcome this kind of stuff. Andrea, I love, you always ask really great questions. I bet you money you have one. Do you have a question for these ladies?
My own snafu. I muted myself. You guys have really been great about coming up really vulnerably and sharing. I mean, I think those have been kind of my biggest concerns. Also just, yeah, I guess, I mean, it's all about the balance. I mean, being a mom and being a business owner and, but I guess I just want to say thank you to you guys because I think so many of us women and everyone, not just women, but young people haven't been as involved in local politics until recently. And I think, what Lacey's doing and what, Renee did when she ran and, our new mayor and, going live every weekend, AOC, nationally, bringing us kind of behind the scenes of like what's happening. I think all of that, regardless of which, side of the party line you're on, I think getting people more involved on social media has been huge. So how are you guys, I guess, doing that as you're running and what do you plan to do, maybe once you get into office to involve the public, continue involving the public and especially the younger crowd and getting those, people involved in local politics? Now you're muted, Lacey.
Great question. Do you want to tackle that one first, Kelly, then Sarah, then Kennedy?
Sure. Well, first I would
say Charity, not Kennedy.
First, I would say that getting people involved, young people involved, is really important to me personally. As an educator, I've been a teacher. I worked in higher education for 12 years, and as I mentioned, student government for half of those years. And so I think I have a different perspective about getting young people involved. I almost feel like, what can the younger generation do to get the rest of us involved in some ways, because it feels like, in my experience anyway, I see young people leading the charge, leading movements, taking a stand, not being afraid to speak out, leading protests if need be, marches through campus. I worked on a campus of 33,000 students. And so the 16 board members I worked with truly represented them and went out and got feedback directly from students. And so for me, that would be something, especially as the clerk, and being the clerk, I see that position really being the conduit and bridging that gap between what's happening and the decisions that the county commission is making and how the public understands them, engages with them, is impacted by them. And I want to get folks at these meetings. And so, I know that there's public information officers and we've got the direct, communications director, strategic communications at the county that we just recently placed someone in that position. But I feel like we can do more in terms of really generating campaigns to get people aware of and interested in what's coming up at the county meetings so that they can lend their voice. One of the things I was very concerned about at the beginning of COVID was we didn't hear from the public, and we shut down that public forum aspect. And someone who's done a lot of training and advising, I've done a lot of open meeting law trainings. I've done a lot of meeting records request trainings. And, I was concerned that we weren't hearing from the public. We had the opportunity a couple months in to send in letters and send in comments, but our commission is so busy and they're so inundated with the gravity of what's happening in this pandemic, that they, you know, they weren't necessarily reading those comments. And I feel like we needed as the public to hear from our fellow citizens and residents about how this is impacting them. So although not all the folks that have come forward now in those public meetings are in support of masks or in support of the recent decisions, I'm glad to see them getting involved and coming out and lending their voice, because I think we really need to hear from everyone, and we need to hear from different perspectives. So I know I might have got off topic of your question a bit, but how are we going to engage the public? How are we going to get young people out to vote? So those are some of the things that come to mind for me.
Yeah, the public is, they're letting us know. They're letting us know, let me tell you. Sarah.
Well, I think one big thing that helps is to have a more diverse leadership to bring young people in. I think if we want to know what young people want, then we need to listen to the young professionals that are here. And so I think, you know, Lacey, and you're younger, on the younger side. So I think that's really been helpful right on the commission, because we feel like we connect a little bit better with that. And you know, we know what we want. And so getting more representation of our generation, I think, is a big deal. And once we kind of open that door, I think it's easier for others to follow. You know, our young professionals are our biggest export right now. And I think we as a community need to do better to bring in, you know, different things that really enhance the quality of life for young professionals, for parents with young children, to retain our talent here. So, I mean, diversity and inclusion is so important for everything. But when we think about diversity, you know, it's not just about race or gender, it's also about age and religion. And there's just so many aspects to that. And so I think representation is the biggest thing going forward.
Yep, Charity?
I've been trying to engage people that are younger and also that haven't been involved in government or politics or voting by just being really transparent about and trying to bring them with me on the journey. So most of my campaign committee is made up of people that have never served on a campaign committee before. Yeah, like I have a pretty diverse campaign committee from various facets of my life. And there's, I'm running as a Democrat. There's some Democrats, there's some registered Republicans, there's an independent. So there's a lot of transparency and diversity in what our views are and where we're coming from that influence my campaign. And as I've done things, I do quite a few Facebook Lives where if I learn something, I try to remember to hop on Facebook and do a live and say, hey, I just learned this thing, I just did this thing, and try to make it transparent that nobody knows what they're doing. When you do this, you have to learn as you go, and you have to get real comfortable with being uncomfortable. I don't want people to think that this is a horrible, arduous thing, because we're pretty transparent about the concerns that we have, but I'm also learning a tremendous amount. And regardless of how the outcome of the election, I'm going to be grateful that I did this, because I know I'm going to be much more civically involved, because I'll just be more plugged in. I'll just understand more how to connect and how things work and who to contact for different things. And that's my goal, is to try to let people know, like, nobody knows what they're doing. So if you're interested in running, you know, give it some good thought and then jump in, because you're never going to feel ready. You're never going to have enough information. And the same thing is with voting. I have a 23-year-old nephew that went out and voted in the primary for the first time. And just the thought of like going and voting and screwing up, like, what if I don't know what to do? And what if I do that, you know, was pretty intimidating for him. So I think we really have to take all that intimidation out. I think voting by mail can do that, because you get the ballot at home. You can sit in front of your computer with your ballot and look up your candidates and mark it on your own time and mail it in. So anybody that's intimidated by the process, I advise them to consider doing that. But I think that we can all do a lot to just, you know, pull back the curtain and say, this is what it's like.
Charity, I think you really hit the nail on the head with that, because I know the very first time I voted, I remember feeling very like afraid. It was almost like going in to take a test, like the SAT. I was like, am I allowed to bring a cheat sheet? Like, how am I going to remember all the people that I want to vote for? I was just really nervous. I honestly thought I couldn't bring a piece of paper with me. Like
I was the same way.
Yeah.
Trepidation is still really fresh in my mind of like, what if I screw up? What are the rules? And yes, can I bring in a cheat sheet? And what if I mark something wrong? What if just all the questions and all the thoughts of, yeah.
Yeah. And I think also just, yeah, like you said, being super transparent about the process. And I think that is something that Lacey did when she was running too, that really kind of caught my eye, is like the behind the scenes stuff. You know, it's like that you're learning along the process. I know I did that when I started the Hive. I brought people along my journey of like starting a business and what that was like, and all my fears, and like when I cried about something, and, you know, because it made it real for them. And then they felt like, if she can do it, I can do it. And I think that is exactly what you want other women in Wichita to feel. If she can do it, I can do it. And it doesn't have to be so scary. And look, she's sharing all her fears, and we're walking through this together. And again, you know, like Kelly said, a friend of hers had said, you know, bring them along the journey with you. That's what people want.
You know, so I love this conversation, and I feel like, you know, what I want people to know who you are, because once people know who you are and they can connect with you on different levels, I think that's what helps people get engaged, because then they pay attention. You know, I feel like, so what's one thing that, a fun fact about yourself that you can share for everybody? Sarah, you want to start, then Charity, then Kelly?
Sure. I did kind of mention this before, but soccer is a big part of our life. Like before this year and before us, you know, me running for this, soccer was huge for us. So I've coached my daughter's soccer team for the past, I don't know, off and on for the past like 6 years. And she plays, I've always coached her when she plays on the field, but she's also a goalkeeper. So we do soccer training all the time. So it's really, my life was pretty much revolving around soccer until this year. And it's kind of nice to kind of get away from that a little bit, but yeah, that's it. That's how I know a bunch of people and coach their daughters. I actually used to coach Brandy Bailey's daughter, and they are now playing together again on the team that they're on, her field team that she's playing for. So I know them as well, and Brandy's great. So I'm really excited to see the talk with you, Charity, and with Brandy as well. I think that'll be really great.
Yeah, my experience with soccer, my daughter played it for 1 year. I have one little picture of her in front of the goal, but I've never understood soccer, so I got nothing on that. Okay, so Charity, what's one fun fact about you?
One fun fact about me is I have a couple of fun hobbies that I utilize to keep my stress in check in general, and especially during campaign time. And they are hip hop dance fitness classes called Work, spelled W-E-R-Q, because I love to shake the booty to the hip hop tunes. Yes. Which is surprising to people when they find out that I'm an engineer too, but you know. The other thing is I do improvisational acting with a improv troupe at Flying Pig Improv Studio. So we have shows on First Friday. We went virtual during COVID and did Zoom improv, and then we've gone back to practicing in person with face shields and distance. And we have done a couple of performances where we really limit the audience and do the distancing of face shields, but we're still doing it because it's fun and everybody needs to laugh and needs that kind of antics now more than ever.
And this is why I asked this question, because I am all over those two. Like, girl, that is awesome. Improv and hip hop dancing. I mean, that's really cool. I'm glad to know that now. I muted myself too soon. Isn't that you're on mute? What's that? That's the quote from 2020. So Kelly, share us your fun fact.
You know, do I have to only limit it to one? I feel like I have a bunch of random facts, but let me start with Corona, my dog. Corona, say hi to everybody. So 2.5 years ago, we lost our dog, and we got this dog, and we just happened to like Corona light beer, and we thought it'd be funny to name our dog Corona, but not so funny, haha, anymore. We call her the little virus. Anyway, so about me though, I'd say I also enjoy a lot of things to kind of keep my mind busy. I love photography. I love to write. About 10 years ago, I just celebrated my 50th birthday, by the way. 10 years ago, on my 40th birthday, I decided I'm going to join, or I was encouraged to join, a roller derby team. And so I met this woman who was like, you should, I'm like, I love to roller skate. Like, I just think, and I'd been to a couple of bouts. And I said, I love to skate. I learned how to skate at Skate East. So on the weekends as a kid, I was at Skate East every Friday and Saturday night. And all of my friends had fancy skates and they were brand new. And I was the one, like, middle class working family, mom could send me to Skate East with like $5 maybe. So I'd, rent my skates and whatever. So I finally got my skates and I joined a roller derby team and played for a couple of years. And I think that's kind of a fun fact, and it's kind of goes along with the message here today. And it's about women being empowered by other women. And so that was what that whole experience was about. Made some wonderful friends, figured out that I was pretty good at it. And then, took some hard knocks and some hard falls and had to get out of playing roller derby. I had neck surgery from some of that experience. So that being said, fun fact about me, I love to skate. So anytime anyone wants to skate.
Are you good at like back skating? I always tried to do that.
All the ways of skating. Yes, I love it.
Awesome. Well,
Do you do skating lessons? Because I don't know how to skate.
I can do that. Yes, we will do it. The carousel.
Fall immediately.
Awesome. Okay, so before we wrap this up, I can't thank you guys enough for this conversation. Andrea at the Hive and all that you do there, and for providing this space to have this conversation. I really am very grateful. I'm so thankful that you guys have decided to throw your hat in the ring because this ring is getting a little hot. So I appreciate that. But before we go, how can someone volunteer, donate, or help with your campaign? Let's go. We'll start with Kelly, then we'll go with Charity, and then Sarah.
Sure. Thanks for giving us that plug and the time for that, Lacey. All of my website and all of the handles and social and everything are Elect Kelly Reed, and it's Kelli. So the Kelly with the I. Don't get confused with the other Kelly, who's also running. Elect Kelly Reed website, can learn a little bit more there. We're doing a lot of literature drops right now and following up with phone calls. So really would love to have anyone who likes to walk and get out and wants to carry some materials in their neighborhood. We can get them walk lists. Reach out to me via my website and or on Facebook is probably the easiest way. Of course, donations help, but we need people. And I really appreciated Sarah's recent messaging about, we've got people, they've got money. We need people on the ground to help support all of us. And so I know that everyone's got a lot of different things that they need, but those two things in particular, walking and making phone calls would be very helpful to me.
Yeah, you can't have enough volunteers. All right, Charity, tell us where to find you.
My website is kennedyforsedgwick.com. You can find me on Facebook at Charity Kennedy for Sedgwick County Treasurer, and on Instagram. I would love it if people that know me and are excited about me as a candidate can talk to their friends and family about me, share on social media, encourage people to vote for me, encourage people to get out and vote, period. This is a hugely important election this year, the November 3rd general election, where we vote for everything from, president and vice president to local offices. So I would love it if you talk to people and ask them if they're registered to vote, and if they have plans on voting, if they have any questions about voting, if there's anything that you can do to support them in voting, because I think the most important thing is for people's voices to be heard. For me, in terms of what people can do to help beyond talking with folks in social media, is I really need funds to help spread the word about my name, not being a politician, never having run for public office. A lot of people don't know my name or who I am or what I have to offer. So if you can donate any amount, it is linked at my website, kennedyforsedgwick.com. I would definitely appreciate your donation to my campaign.
And just real briefly, you know, the max donation is $500 per individual for each of these ladies. So if you have a spouse, you both can donate, plus your business can donate. So, you know, one couple could, if they have a business, could donate up to $1,500. And but you know what? You can donate $5 too, because I tell you, I'd rather have $101 donations than one $100 donation from someone that, you know, I mean, it is all about small change, right? Small, consistent change. So Sarah, tell us how people can get a hold of you.
Yep, absolutely. So my website is sarahforsedgwick.com. I also have my Facebook page just under Sarah Lopez. At the end of the day, unfortunately, the way it is money is a huge part in winning an election. And I wish it wasn't that way, but I mean, right now it is. So my opponent is going around and very happily telling everybody how much more money he has than I do. And the reason why it's important to donate, and, you know, for the three of us, that would be such a huge help, is just so we can get our name out. The more, you know, money we raise, the more we can send mailers out to our districts, and people can see our faces and hear our names a little bit more, so they do know more about us. So that's a big ask right now, I would say, probably for all three of us. And then absolutely having people who are ready to volunteer. On my website, there is a button for donations that goes to my ActBlue account, but there's also a volunteer button, and it kind of, you can list your name, your email, and really what it is that you would like to help with. And so we have some opportunities that are getting ready to start pretty soon, and we're going to need, you know, all hands on deck. So we're going to be dropping lit and sending mailers and writing out postcards and all these other things. So if you are able to, or if you want to help, I would appreciate anyone and everyone who is willing.
Great. Andrea, before we wrap up, anything else to add?
Oh, I just want to thank you all so much for joining us today. And I also want to say that we did have a few comments I wanted to read off to you guys on Facebook.
Cool.
So much hope hearing from these intelligent, thoughtful, and kind individuals. Thank you for running. Another one, you ladies are so inspiring. Fire, heart, disarm. Y'all are fantastic. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Hashtag girl power, hashtag who run the world.
Yeah.
And then I love this talk so much. Thanks for the inspiration. So you got some fans out there on social media. The future is female. Yep.
Yeah. Andrea, can you just give a little plug for the Hive real quick? How do people get, I know that, you know, for us, we're going to share this later. So if people want to get involved with you, how do they get involved with you? And
yeah, so a lot of people know of the Hive as a co-working space for women, but we are also so much more than that. We're a community for women. So basically, if you're a woman in business, and to me that means anything from you own your own business, you work it as a professional, or you are running for office, or you work in a nonprofit. We are really all about moving women forward in leadership. And so we have a lot of personal and professional development that we do both in person and virtually. We've always live streamed them. So we have a Facebook group where you can kind of go to for support and encouragement and to ask questions. And we like to work together and support one another in all the things that we're doing. So if you're interested, you can go to thehivewichita.com, and all of our information's on there.
And just real quick before we go, today the county is releasing, last week the commission approved $5 million in small business grants. So that money can be used if your business has had to change the way it does business. Maybe you're doing a lot more Zoom calls and you need a camera and a computer and technology. That is a COVID related expense for this fund. If you have a small business where you have a retail shop and you want to move your place outside and you need barriers or clothing racks or whatever the case may be that will allow you to move your business outside, you know, for restaurants or bars or whatever the case, please, that I believe that we're working on the link right now, so that will be up in just a second. It's $5 million, so it kind of equates to $5,000 grants, up to $5,000 grants. So I'd be happy to answer any of those questions. But ladies, I'm so inspired just because you guys have taken this leap. I know it's hard. I speak from experience when I say it's grueling. It's a great weight loss plan. But besides all of those, you're really going to make an impact. I know that you guys are going to work your butts off and try to really move the community forward. And that's what we need day in and day out, is people who are focused on trying to change things around here for the better. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you for joining during your lunchtime. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.